Nomo Neter Baya. We seek refuge and pay homage to the Supreme Most High Creator, whom ordains and conducts all that exists and non-exists. Libation.
Ibaye, Ashe, Ashe.
Nomo Per Neteru Baya. We seek refuge and pay homage to the company of our ancestors who manifest the principles of the divine laws and attributes of love, light, nature, and virtues of the Most High Creator. Libation.
Ashe.
Ibaye, Ashe, Ashe.
Nomo Guru Baya. We seek refuge and pay homage to the gurus, saints, Sufis from time memorial for their immense love of the Dharma and humanity, who makes great tremendous sacrifices on our behalf for the sake of self and God realization. Libation.
Ashe.
Ibaye, Ibaye, Ashe, Ashe.
Nomo Dharma Baya. We seek refuge in the teachings of the great realizers, Buddhas, saints, Sufis, and spiritual adepts from time memorial and in our present time, and be as retainers of the gift of grace. Libation.
Ashe.
Ibaye, Ashe, Ashe.
Nomo Sangha Baya. We seek refuge and pay homage to all of our spiritual communities across all time and space, which give us the impetus, strength, courage, and the help needed for the sake of God and self-realization, not just for our sake, but for the sake of all sentient beings. Libation.
Ashe.
Ibaye, Ashe, Ashe.
Nefermer, Hotep, Ma'at, Seba, Bhagwan, Afrika. Guru Mojabai, Ibae, Ashe, Hotep.
Homage and prostration to Sakuru, who is Brahman, and the giver of supreme bliss, who is Sapurush, the embodiment of pure consciousness itself, one without a second, vaster than the sky, infinite, eternal, beyond all time, space, and causality, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the dispeller of my darkness and the bestower of light, the supreme preceptor and incarnation of divine grace. Namo Guru Vaya. On the way over here, I was thinking about something that my friend Hafez was saying to me to give me a greater sense of security and peace of mind. And Hafez was explaining to me that someone had put you on the slave block, and the unreal bought you. Now I come every day saying to your owner, this one is mine. And sometimes you overhear us haggling about prices, and it might fill your heart with some anxiety. But don't worry, beloved, he says. I will borrow all of the gold that is needed to get you back. So I thought I would share that conversation I had with Hafez with you, just in case, like me, sometime you get worried if the Lord has forsaken you. It is in moments like that that it is good to have a spiritual friend like Hafez who can speak words to you that impact you like music, makes you want to dance with joy. And reminding you that the Lord never forsakes his devotee. what a friend we have in Hafez. Somewhere it said that you cannot spend an hour with the Hafez verses and not come away from that feeling that you have been in the presence of God. And those of us who know him know that to be the case. So, what would you rascals like to consider? The bar is open. You know, sometime under the weight of our sadness, our suffering, our crisis of feeling unloved, it becomes easy to forget that love is how we got here. And love is what's keeping us here. And forgetting that our life becomes a endless search to be loved by this and that, you see. Never really realize it until it's usually too late that love was here all the time. And once one becomes aware of this presence that is love, then the search to be loved drops and is replaced with a very different focus in one's life. And instead of seeking to be loved, one seeks to show love. Very different. Ordinarily, you are trapped in the fundamental disposition that you are seeking to be loved, as if you are the beloved. You're not the beloved. God is the beloved. And when you have that right understanding, then and only then are you entitled to call yourself a disciple, a devotee, a follower of God. Until then, like with everyone else, you are placing demands upon God to prove His love for you, as if your very existence is not proof enough of that. You're looking for a sign that God loves you. You see. If there is a sin, then that's it. So you better stop me now. It won't get better.
Come on.
Yes, beloved.
So those are for people who either at times, which I do, we all do, but then there are people who are in a state, but there are people, of course, who are in a state where they feel like their existence itself is not a blessing but a curse because of the nature of their existence. It might be harder for them to feel what you just said.
In fact, beloved, they are in that condition because they can't feel. You see. That is dukkha. That's suffering. You're being a psychologist, I'm sure that with your work with individuals, you hear that it's what is always being presented in therapy. You see, they're suffering. They come to a therapist in search of some relief from that suffering. That suffering, in some sense, psychologically speaking, always takes the form of anger, lust, greed, attachment, pride. These are usually the 5 basic forms of your suffering. And that suffering, and those various forms and the modifications of those various forms have their ground in this desire. This vasana, as the Hindu mystics have called it, this kind of desire to be the focus of everyone's love, everyone's understanding, everyone's respect of me, etc., etc. Now, it's very interesting, and I won't dwell very long on this. It takes us into a workshop format, and I don't have my board. On a daily basis, you see, all kinds of desires to be loved in some form, shape, or fashion are there. And one of the things that everyone has realized about their desires is that desires don't always get fulfilled. Research psychologists in the field of behaviorism have calculated that in the course of a day, you will have approximately 20 to 30 experiences of the frustration of this desire. You follow me? For self-gratification, the desire to somehow or another make yourself feel better, to feel love, and so forth and so on. And of course, most people's ability to tolerate the frustration of their desires is very low. So when desire 1 does not get met, your capacity to tolerate disappointment start dropping. You see? So by the time you get to the 20th frustration, right? And which doesn't take very long, considering the volume of desires we have on a daily basis. Once that desire gets frustrated, you immediately move into a state of suffering called anger. Anger is a form of suffering, okay? And it's a terrible form of suffering. But when that desire for this or that, and it doesn't have to be something grand, it could be the desire for a bowl of cereal, and when you get to the cabinet, somebody done ate up all the damn cereal. This is a real episode that occurred at the Schaefer residence. It was, hell broke out. You see? So it could be something as trivial as that, or extreme as waking up and reaching for your wife and she's gone, you see. In any case, whenever your desires are frustrated, unfulfilled, anger arises, the suffering. And then from there, you see, you must blame somebody. First you become angry, then you blame somebody for that. This is how it goes, you see. And if you have reached your limit of tolerance, you see, you move beyond blaming that person, and you move to the next stage of madness. Now you demand this person do what you want. You see, you argue, you fight, you intimidate, whatever comes to mind, even violence. Is not left out of the equation, you see. Now you demand this person to do what you want, to cooperate with the fulfillment of your desire. And when that person fails to cooperate with that, then you punish. You see? You seek revenge to punish that person, to hurt that person. All of that, you see, is the behaviorism that is associated with dukkha, suffering. And that's what you see in this world. The same dynamics apply to the remaining forms of human suffering: lust, greed, attachment, pride. Some people are suffering just because of their pride. You see, they refuse to seek the help that they need because that would cause a kind of confrontation with the reality of their own condition. You see, the temptation says it best too proud to beg, but you're a beggar that is too proud to beg. That means you're going to suffer. You're not going to get nothing to eat. And eventually you will starve yourself to death because you are a beggar. You see? So this suffering, when it becomes profound, desensitizes you. Reduces your awareness, contracts you. See? You become self-possessed, and all you can think about is yourself. And under those conditions, you can't think about God. You cannot be aware of this presence that is always loving you. You're too turned in on yourself, you follow me? Trying to find a way to deal with your suffering that you created. Because at the point where your desire is frustrated, you always have the option to drop that desire and move on. Anger is something you choose to be. Nobody is making you angry. Ain't nobody messing with you. Ain't nobody insulting you. You're doing that shit to yourself. And until you really understand yourself through real observation, then you will remain a victim of your own mind. You have no other enemy here except yourself. There are no other enemies. So much, much more can be said about the psychology that justifies and makes spiritual practice reasonable, even necessary, if you are in any way serious about love and happiness. You see? So we will perhaps have other occasions in the future to go into this argument a little bit deeper, but hopefully that gives you some further insight into the psychodynamics of suffering and the consequences of it. Suffering is not a good thing in that sense. But then again, you see, the paradox of suffering is that suffering can lead to a breakthrough or a breakdown. It depends on each of us. When you mismanage suffering, that'll lead to a breakdown. When you learn by grace and instructions and guidance how to manage suffering, that always leads to a breakthrough, you see. Somewhere it is said in the literature that no man or woman gets serious about spiritual practice, sadhana, God realization, and these kind of things until they suffered enough. You see? That's the grace of suffering. But it's only grace for those individuals who have understood something about suffering. Those who have not, suffering simply becomes more fuel for their self-pity. You see, you listen to people closely, all that they do is tell a tale of woe and their suffering and how somebody has done them wrong. That's where we get all of the lyrics for the most popular songs in the culture. He did me wrong, she did me wrong, they did me wrong, I did myself wrong. You see? And then they fall into a pit of self-pity, always feeling sorry for themselves, always feeling that they are somebody's victim. It is a pit of hell. Hafez says that for those who love God, even to the very smallest extent, that God reassures us that He won't let sadness like this possess us, and He will get us back. So there is some solace in knowing that. An ounce of God, love for God, an ounce of that love for God, you see, burns up tons of suffering. When you realize that you love by God, no fooling, no kidding. Rumi says, what else could a human being want? What could possibly top that? The love of your wife, the love of your children, the love of your boss, the love of your friends. How can that top the love of God? You see, you are only more dependent to the point of pathology on being loved by these relations simply because you are having no experience of being loved by God. You see? So you become addicted to people. And this addiction, this slavery, renders you incapable of following the spiritual path. See? Somewhere in gospel, Jesus said, unless you hate this world, hate your family, hate yourself, you cannot follow me. That always struck me as a rather profound statement, coming, or put rather, in the mouth of Jesus, you see. Unless you hate this world, hate your family, and hate yourself, you can't follow me. Now, of course, I think the word hate is perhaps a poor translation of the Arabic or the Aramaic word that really means to deny yourself. See, if you can't deny yourself something in the world, if you can't deny some pleasure that you get from your family, if you can't deny yourself some pleasure, you can't follow this path. That can't happen. What Jesus was talking about was virajia. You see, detachment. You see, you can't follow. You see, you can't do no meditation. You can't do no practice. You can't do no silence because you cannot deny yourself the self-gratification that is required to use that time and energy for the sake of practice. You just can't deny yourself. You can, as Jesus would say, bear your cross. Jesus said, those who can't bear their cross, you can't follow me. You can't do this here. You see, this is for grown folks. You have the mindset of a child somewhere. You're trying to have fun. Your preoccupation is feeling good. Are you with me? and you don't leave any stone unturned in your efforts to feel good. And Jesus and all saints say you got to be able to deny yourself. You see, to deny yourself. This kind of dedication to instant gratification, be it at the level of the body, emotions, or the mind, you see. So out of millions and millions that perhaps were exposed and had a chance to take the advantage of that opportunity that was the presence of Jesus, just a handful. That's how it always is. You see? Always. Very few of us have the ability to deny ourselves. Yes, beloved.
Master, related to the same topic, I read a quote that I've read times before, but I just ran across it. It was the Dalai Lama saying, if you want to be happy, practice compassion. If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. And as it pertains to what you were just talking about, what exactly does it mean to practice compassion? Is that equivalent to what you're saying is the denial of your wants, desires, things of that nature? Is that what is meant by that?
It includes that, you see. And this practice of compassion is just another way of languaging the practice of love. Compassion is a part of love. You see, it is a shadow of love. It is to love what heat is to fire. You see, a quality of love. It is the fundamental purpose of human existence, you see, is to be loved, to be the agency of love. And it requires a complete reversal of our ordinary understanding, you see. Now, we were just considering the fact that all of us are hell-bent on somebody loving us. That's our whole focus, to be loved. This is what occupies us night and day, you see, day in, day out. The purpose of existence is to become the agency of love, an instrument of love, you see? And all of the modifications of it, you see, which includes compassion, kindness, tolerance, patience, the whole moral and ethical edifice, you see, rises only when there is this practice of love. So you can't become virtuous and moral and ethical while practicing the opposite of love. It becomes a sham. Are you with me? You see? And the spiritual tradition, especially in Raja Yoga, you see, that's the whole purpose of the yams and the niyamas, is to somehow convert our thinking so that we become committed to the practice of being the source of love, as opposed to the practice of being loved by every Tom, Dick, and Harry. You see? So when one is able to turn, make that turn, you see, then that's that. You see? If you want compassion, do compassion. There's a law of reciprocity going on here. You see my point? The golden rule is the most succinct communication of that law of reciprocity that governs everything, you see? Don't do unto others as you don't want others to do unto you, and so forth and so on. You see? Forgive us this day our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. See, it must be a balance. What you do on one side of the equal sign, you must do on the other side of the equal sign, you see? Now, everybody crave justice, you see? But you don't want to do no justice. You crave mercy and forgiveness from others, but your heart is so hard, you can't forgive people for shit. You're still holding grudges about some shit that was done to you 50 years ago. But you want mercy. You want to be forgiven. You want to be forgiven your imperfections, shortcomings, and faults, but you're not willing to forgive anybody else, you see? That's not the practice of love. That's the practice of its opposite, selfishness, egotism, you see? It is the sadhana of a fool, you see? So, of course, I'm in no position to comment on what His Holiness meant. How could I know that, you see? But perhaps it was something along those lines, you see. Yes, beloved.
Yeah, I want to ask a question about pride, as it applies to sin. Is pride the foundation of sin? And biblical, you know, as the biblical references would have it, that's how it comes to be.
Well, a couple of things. I know that first we have to have a agreement on what is meant by sin. You see, the Greek simply means an act that is inaccurate, to miss the mark. Are you with me? And you ask, is pride the cause of that, you see? And certainly pride very often can be the underlying cause of sin, because a person that is full of pride never thinks they're wrong. Have you noticed? They are always right. Even when they're wrong, they're right. You understand? So pride is this kind of false basis of being perfect. Because when you think ain't nothing wrong with you, there's no motivation to correct anything you're doing, because shit, you perfect. You don't do nothing wrong. Your thoughts, speech, behavior is perfect. Shit. So there's no means of being corrected, even when it is clearly the case that your action was wrong. You see, pride is this kind of arrogating to yourself qualities and virtues that in reality you don't possess. Pride is this clinging to a belief about yourself, beloved, in the face of overwhelming evidence to the contrary, that contradicts everything that you are propagandizing about yourself. You see, you get along well with other people. You ain't got a friend on the planet left, even your dog. You know what I'm saying? Your parakeet escaped from the cage. You know what I mean? Ruin every relationship you have. You don't get along with your kids. You don't get along with your neighbors. You don't get along with nobody. But yet you sit in your delusion, thinking that you have this kind of great people skill set. Pride becomes the basis for profound self-delusion. And Maharaji used to always say, pride is the last one to go. You see? That's the last form of suffering. That is the form of suffering that is most difficult, you see, to overcome. Even when you might have relieved yourself of the suffering of anger, the suffering of lust, the suffering of greed, and so forth and so on. Those successes very often reinforce the suffering of pride because look how great I am. Look at all this shit I did. You understand? Look, I conquered all of this, you see. Therefore, nobody can tell me anything. You see? From a purely spiritual point of view, pride is a real obstacle because it makes you incapable of being helped. You see? Sometimes even when you know you need it, you won't ask for it because of your pride. Pride allowed to run into arrogance, megalomania, narcissism, and so forth and so on. It makes it impossible for you to be gurud. You can't be guru. You can't be instructed. Can't nobody tell you shit. You see? God doesn't even become necessary for you. You follow me? You can do everything for yourself. You can breathe yourself, sleep yourself. Who needs God? Pride ultimately takes you there, to the point. But not only don't you need nobody here, and you know more than everybody, you don't need God. In fact, you know more than God. You don't give a damn what God says. Just, what you think that counts. You follow me? Are you following me? You can discount all of the scripture. You can discount Quran, you see, Dhammapada, you see, Gita's, all kinds. You discount everything any enlightened person has said from time immemorial because they don't know what they're talking about. I know what I'm talking about. You see? So pride, in some senses, certainly, if not the very basis of sin, is certainly one of the worst ones because it simply renders you incapable of being helped. Jesus says somewhere it's like, he likened it into turning your back on the Holy Ghost, the source of your help. Who turns their back on the Holy Ghost is usually a man or woman full of pride. You see, you turn your back. You see. And Jesus said when you turn your back on the Holy Ghost, that's all over with. There is no hope with you. You see. So pride, beloved, is a challenge for everybody, you see. All of us, when we come to the path, have to do battle with these very things that we've been talking about, these very forms of suffering. We don't see them as suffering, obviously. That's why we cling to them, you see. We think our anger is something holy, you know what I mean? And take pride in that, you know what I mean? But we have to all fight a long battle with anger, lust, greed, attachment, and pride, you see. And that is why the Guru gives us these means, these tools to use to deal with these impulses in ourselves, you see. But if we do not resort to making use of the means and ways by which the Guru is trying to equip us to do battle with this mind and our emotions, then one is just completely defeated by them, you see, and remain in a perpetual state of suffering. Always suffering. You see, no freedom, no moksha. You see, just suffering. So much more can be said about that, beloved. That's just a little bit. Something else you rascals would like to discuss? Yes, beloved.
So I had a pretty interesting week on my spiritual path. It was Monday. Monday I went to a funeral for a friend's wife had passed away. And she was very instrumental, very big in the church that I go to, and a very sad moment for everyone, including the pastor who had known her for years. Tuesday morning, I get an email from the church that the pastor's daughter had a baby. And, you know, that sadness turned to a quick moment of joy for the pastor, because that's just a big moment in life. Can you maybe talk about, you know, the life and death? And you know, I'm trying to wrap how thin that line is and how my emotions change so quickly, and my thoughts change so quickly, how death turned into life, and then how eventually life will turn into death.
Well, certainly a lot can be said about that little star. And there's a book on in the book table, I suppose, A Matter of Life and Death. Have you read this book?
No, I'm not.
You might want to read that book. There's the argument is made for understanding the reality of death and the awareness of death and so forth and so on. In almost all of the spiritual literature, the first lesson that one is given is the lesson on the reality of death. Because the spiritual teachings, they're not just poetry and they're not philosophy per se. They're not it's not in academic studies. It's basically the teachings on reality, you see. And the reality is that there's birth, you see, change, death, most fundamentally, you see. And this is being reflected anywhere you look in the universe. That's all you see, birth, change, death, you see. And so the entire body of spiritual literature is a consideration of the implication of that reality for each individual, you see. The emotions that you just talked about, you were feeling sadness, that changed to glee, because your emotions also obey this law, you see. One moment before you got the bad news about your beloved friend's death and so forth, and actually physically went to the funeral and so forth. The moment before that, there was no sadness, perhaps, you see. So it was born upon hearing the news, right? And you went through all of that, and then you heard some more news, right? Then the feeling changed. You see. So this is why you see the things say that you can't make your emotions the principle by which you govern your life. You can't go with that, because that is changing all the time, you see. Nor can you even make what you think the basis either, because what you think is changing. You get some more data, now you done changed your mind, you formed another opinion. That was very often the complete opposite of the opinion you held previously. Are you with me? So you can't make information the principle by which you govern, you see. You must be governed by something higher than that, you see. And we've been talking a little bit about that, and that principle is called love. You know? Love is the bottom line. Love is the true principle. Everything else changes. Love, real love, true love, that does not change. You see, love is the reality. Love is the only reality in this place. But there's much to be said about this matter of death. You follow me? Because this is what we all must deal with. You see? Yet nobody wants to deal with that. You see? But whether you want to deal with it or not, death is going to happen in any case, you see. And the question becomes, will you be ready for that? Basically. Now, so much more can be said about that, you see, because actually it's this radical understanding and moment-to-moment awareness of the inevitability of death and the reality of this law of impermanence that serves as the psychological foundation for the practice of authentic sadhana. You see, it must be this moment-to-moment awareness. You follow me? This becomes the basis of a rajya. You follow me? You see, this is what keeps you focused. This is what keeps you from falling off the path, so to speak. You see? Keeps you from becoming entangled in this and that. You see? The you that you feel yourself to be, that's on its way out of here. You see? And it will always happen in each of our cases sooner than we think. Death comes to us always sooner than we think. So you got to factor death into the way you live. That's the point. So you can look at yourself. You can look at your life. Look at how you do in life. Are you with me? And is the way you do in life, have you factored in the reality of your death? If you're doing life without factoring in death, then fundamentally, you're not even close to being capable of living a spiritual life at all. You see? A spiritual life is a life lived with death factored into it, with impermanence factored into it. Are you with me? And that makes life look a little different than a life lived where you have not factored in death. You have not factored in impermanence at all, you see? The Buddha says that's the kind of life that most of us live, a life that does not factor in the realities of life. Think about that. You're living a life that does not even factor in the realities about life at all. You're living basically a life that you have created out of your own imagination. In the East, we call that samsara. You see? There's the real life, real reality. You see? And then there's the reality that our ego creates, you see? The real world that God has created is vara, you see, society. And then there's the world we have created, jiva saristi. The ego has created the world. We live in the world created by our ego, our fantasies, our desires, our ambitions, blah, blah, blah. You see? And the Buddha says that even though we see, because you may think you are living in an alternate reality, but ontologically speaking, you see, you're at here. You see my point? You don't have an option to be anyplace else. You just think you're not here, but you are here. And all of the laws governing the here is going to affect you. Are you with me? So the Buddha says that you will see, what you will see, you're not seeing a world like the world you have created. What you're seeing is a world where there's birth, change, you know. Right? You see people are born, right? They grow old, become feeble, get sick, die. That's actually what you are experiencing, you see? Even though you think you're experiencing something different, you see, there's the rope, you seeing a snake, are you with me? There's the reality, you seeing an appearance that you have created in your own mind. The reality is that there is birth, change, death. So Buddha says, while you see everybody else growing old, getting feeble, getting sick and dying, but you think you're not. He said, that's a fool. That's a fool, a fool. You see? And we're foolish, you see? Now you saw your friend die, and you all went and said, oh, poor thing, you died, you were so young, you had so much more life to live, and oh. But that shit can happen to you. You understand? You think it just happened to your friend. No. This is going to happen to you too. You follow me? So even though we see all of these expressions of the laws of impermanence and the reality of death and so forth and so on, we never factor that in to the way we do life. Ever. Now you're going to lose your wife, and your wife going to lose you. That's reality. But you don't factor that into your relationship with your wife or your husband. Right? Now, not having factored that in, when you lose your beloved, life becomes over for you. You go blow your brains out. You understand what I'm saying? You were not prepared to handle no reality, you see. That's why Jesus said, I have come not to spread peace, but to bring a sword to separate you from dissolution. Are you with me? So the Buddha says that of all of his teachings, and he gave a lot of teachings. Someone once asked the Buddha that very question of Buddha. They said, Lord, what is your greatest teaching? You've given so many teachings over your long, illustrious career, you see. But of those teachings that you have given, which is the greatest? What's the essence of your message? And it is said that the Buddha reached down on the floor, picked up a handful of leaves, and asked him, he says, Bhikkhu, tell me, which is the greatest? The leaves that I hold in my hand, or the leaves on the trees in the forest? And the Bhikkhu said, no, Lord, clearly the leaves in the forest, he says. And he says, of all of those teachings, the greatest amongst them is the teaching of death. Called death straightening you out, straightens your ass up. You follow me? It disappears all this fantasy, all this bullshit, all this pettiness. It gets disappeared in that moment, you see? So your ego gonna get annihilated. You ain't got to worry about that. For all of you who are concerned about the ineffectiveness of your practice, Bhagwan, I can't deal none with this ego. Don't worry. No problema. It will get destroyed. That's guaranteed. That's the grace of God. That's the grace of the universe. That ego self that you have so much struggle with in your spiritual practice, that's going to get taken care of for you out of mercy. And as you lay on your deathbed, slowly dying, you will lose all use of this body. There will go a big chunk of your ego, because a lot of your ego is based on your identification with your body itself. We're going to lay that damn body down, you see, and put a morphine drip in it. You follow me? And weaken it so much you can't even wipe your ass. You will have no use of that body. So that part of your ego, we're going to deal with, right? Then we'll move to the next part, you see. All your possession, your stuff, okay. We're going to get rid of all of that, because when you lay in there on your oxygen tent, they're going to start throwing your shit away. psychiatrist, he's gonna die. I'm gonna give me that nice outfit. Here they gonna be passing your stuff out. Ain't nothing you can do. You see? So piece by piece, your ego will be dismantled. So don't even worry about it. You see my point? Maharaj, you say you can pay me now, you pay me later, but you're gonna pay. You see? That ego gonna get stripped away. Now, that scenario is the worst case scenario because you won't be able to enjoy the liberation from your ego. You see? There will be no context for it. You see? Ego stripped at the time of death does not result in liberation. No Mosca for you. No enlightenment. So don't get too comfortable with that. You see? Yes, nature will strip you. Yes, true. But it's not going to give you any enlightenment. You see? It's just going to destroy your ego. And you're going to lose everything you think you got. You think you got a house, you think you got a wife, you think you got children, clothes, all of the stuff you think you got, that you think is yours, that's out. You're going to lose everything. And then you're going to lose your body. And you're going to lose your emotions. You're going to lose your mind. You're going to lose your very breath. You're going to lose everything. And everyone is going to lose you. Your wife is going to lose you. Your children is going to lose you. Your best friend is going to lose you. You understand? You've been wondering what they're going to do without you. Well, you know, get all emotional. I don't know what my kids are going to do without me. I don't know what my wife will do without me. Well, don't worry about that. They're going to lose you. And they're going to do just fine. Because you are not necessary. You're nowhere near as necessary as you think you are. That's why you can't do the sadhana, because you think you're too important to take 2 hours out of your day. The world will fall apart. Children would die. You know what I mean? Airplanes would drop out. I'm too important. No. The you that you think you are ain't important at all. At all. And the world would run just fine without you. It was running without you before you got here. It'd be just fine. And there is no comfort in your presuming that you will become an ancestor. Black people in here, you know what I mean? Y'all looking forward to becoming ancestors. And all of your children for generations to come will have your picture, and they'll put lei around your neck, and they'll have your picture, and they're burning candles and setting food out. Nah, that shit ain't gonna happen. You're going to be a picture with a lot of dust on it. Any other pictures of dead people. That's go in the dead family members' gallery and collect dust like the rest of them. And 3 generations from now, your descendants won't even know you existed. They'll never even know that such a person as you existed. They won't even know who you are, just like you don't know who your ancestors are. You don't know. You don't know who your great-great-great-great-grandparents. You don't even know. You see my point? You go to mama and big and grandpa, and that's about far as you. That's the entirety of it, you know. The rest is your imagination. You see, there's no connection. You see, so you can forget about all of that. You see, no great street's going to be named after you. No statues of you going to be there. It will be as if never even existed. Because you live your life as an ego. Now, there's other ways to live this life in this body, where all of those things that are not possible for you becomes possible for them, you see. We're still singing Rumi's verses. Rumi died 800 years ago. Best-selling poet in the world. Because Rumi became more than his body. You see, more than his stuff. You see, the name of Mira is on the lips of thousands, millions of people. Are you with me? You see, Krishna's name is still being chanted in temples all over the place. Are you with me? The Buddha, billions of statues of him. You see, the world can't forget a Buddha, can't forget a Jesus, can't forget a Muhammad, a Guru Nanak, a Dadu, a Kabir, a Saint Teresa, so forth and so on. These people lived their life in such a way that their impact was unforgettable. You are completely forgettable. Because you've done nothing for nobody. You made no contribution. You spent your whole damn life trying to get something for yourself. And you gave nothing to the world. You made no contribution. Are you with me? To nobody. And even what little shit you did for other people, you did that to make yourself feel good. So that don't count. Are you with me? There was no real great sacrifice. There was no transcendence in your life. You did not become great. You let your greatness remains uncultivated, stymied. You see, that little light that Jesus talked about, you didn't let none shine. Are you with me? That's how it goes. Death, Leosa, must become more than just a conversation here, you see. Contemplating the inevitability of his own demise, Ramana Maharshi, you see, became enlightened. Now, you can contemplate your death for real, then what happened to Ramana Maharshi will happen to you, because that's all that the sadhana that Ramana Maharshi did. 16-year-old boy realized, oh, wait now, there's a thing called death. You see? And what is that? And how do I handle that? And he laid himself down and duplicated all of the conditions that is associated with death of this body mind. And when he got up, he was Ramana Maharshi. That's why death is a great sadhana. Are you with me? The Buddha sitting in the palace, surrounded by luxury, wealth, power, fame, everything, you know. You all know the story, right? Moving outside of the confines of the palace, sees the old man, sees a sick person, and realizes, oh, shit, what is that? Oh, that's death, Lord. Death. I never seen any death in my kingdom, the palace. He never said, no, people die. Do that mean I'm going to die? Yes, Lord, you too. I'm out of this palace. You see my point, and I got to deal with this. You see my point? You read the Upanishads. You see the Katha Upanishad. You see a Nachachita, right? Going to Lord Yama, asking for a boon. Lord Yama said, I'm going to give you this and give you that. And the little child's Nachachita said, yeah, but I'm still going to die. Give me something. You know what I mean? That I can hold on to. That survives death. Are you with me? So, Leo Saab, you have to see is your interest in death casual? Or is it more profound than that? You see? If it's casual, all that I've said would just go in one ear, right out the other ear. and nothing will be transformed in you as a result of that. You see? It'll just become more information, but not transformation. But if you can hear with your heart, truly hear, then that few remarks hits you somewhere and straightens you up, sobers you. Are you with me? And your life then becomes a life where you factor in truth. But what is the life that you're living that is not based on the truth? I mean, really, what is that? And that's what we're doing, aren't we? We're trying to live lives that are not based on the truth. How you gonna pull that off? You're bound to fail. How you gonna do that? You're trying to live a life not based on the reality of death. Now, how you gonna pull that shit off? You're trying to live a life not based on the reality of loss. How you gonna do that? You're trying to live a life not based on the reality of impermanence. How you gonna do that? Where are you gonna do that? You can't do that here, in this existence. So what's up with all of that? I mean, really, seriously now. You see my point? Seriously now, look at how you've been doing life and see how that shit has been working for you. You've been doing life based on pure nonsense, pure fantasy, not based on no reality whatsoever. You've been doing life thinking everybody's gonna like your ass. And everybody's not gonna like your ass. And everybody's not gonna agree with you. Everybody's not gonna think you right. Now you deal with that shit. Have y'all seen Beast of the Southern Wild?
Yes.
Are there any hush puppies in here?
Yes.
I mean, do you all have at least as much emotional resilience as a 5-year-old girl?
Yes.
Deal with this shit. Live your life based on the reality of life. Then there's no problem. You see, so you have to go away from this argument and you really have to sit and consider this thing. But a life that is lived without factoring in the truth and reality, that life has no possibility of being happy, has no possibility of being fulfilled. It will be guaranteed suffering. You see, you will always be angry. You will always be full of lust for this and that. You see, you will always never have enough. You see, greed. You see, clingy and attached and so forth, and prideful. These will become the reality for you. Ready to cry uncle yet? Wait, but next, something else to say? Am I being too rough here today?
No.
Are you sure? Yes, beloved.
Could you talk a little about the importance of the guru-disciple relationship with regards to the annihilation of the ego and the fallacy that is the Christian belief that you can have a personal relationship with a dead man even though they claim he lives?
Well, I don't know about that, sir. But I can say a little bit about the first part, only because I have a guru, you see. And I'm not even sure whether what I say on the basis of my own relationship with my guru will trump what is said in the various traditions, you see. This taking us back, that Hafez refers to. This coming to take us back that you hear about, read about in all the literature, the Guru comes to take us back. That involves all kinds of things, but the one thing it don't involve is congratulating us and consoling us in our mediocrity. follow me? It's a very different kind of relationship. You see my point? And what happens very often, beloved, we bring into that great relationship the same kind of expectation that we have in all our other relationships. And remember, in all our other relationships, we're craving and seeking to be loved. You want your husband to love you. You want your wife to love you, your children to love you. And so we bring that disposition into the guru and disciple relationship. And we want the guru to love us, love us, love us. We want the guru to just get in line with the rest of the people that we are in relationship with. And hopefully he'll be better at it because he's a guru. And depending on how deeply we are bound in our ego condition, our weakness, our fallen condition, the guru accommodates us with that. So very often the guru will give you some of that. But the more mature you become, the less consoling the guru becomes. So I can remember, like most of us who are here, not having the presence of our guru here. You see? We would very often write letters, right, Elijah? We would write letters to Maharaji, right? And we would put our questions and so forth and so on, because our Sangha was not quite as open as this one. And I would write these letters to Maharaji, and he would write back. I'd write another letter, he'd write back, you know? Yeah, that was pretty good, man. You know, like, I got a guru that is going to quickly respond to all of my questions. And that's pretty good, you know. And so and each letter would get longer and longer, sillier, more trivial. I mean, I was up to asking about, well, you know, they say in astronomy that there's a blah, blah, blah galaxy, Maharaji, is that true? I mean, I'm asking them questions about quantum mechanics, physics, shit like that, you know what I mean? Just trivia shit. Because I'm thinking, you know, finally, you know, Joyce is not interested in that conversation with me. I got a man that I can talk to about the shit I like. And it's in this, you know. And so this was allowed to go on. And then I remember the last letter I wrote, Maharaji. It was about 8 or 9 pages. Because by that time, I read upon it, shot, and you know, I was heavy. I mean, I'm asking all kinds of stuff, you know, is this true? Is this so? You know what I mean? And I remember getting the reply back. And it was very brief. And Maharaji says, listen, I'm very busy. You see, you need not write me these long letters, asking all these questions. The books are full of information. You see my point? You have been given instructions. You have been initiated. You have been told what to do. You do what you have been instructed to do. Love, Charlie St. You see?
Yes, sir.
Like that. You see? You see? Now, he could have went on indulging me. You see my point? But I had grown enough where I could handle that. I wasn't angry one bit. I didn't feel unloved. I didn't have no negative response to that. Quite the opposite. You see my point? Because this kind of intellectualism could have went on for the rest of my damn life. I have that kind of bad karma, you see? And he stopped that in his track. And that was beautiful. You see? No consolation. Follow what I'm saying? You're strong enough now to start handling some truth. And then more and more work is being done to annihilate that ego self. You can handle it now, you see. In the culture of psychiatry, we call that uncovering, you see. But just as in psychotherapy, you can't begin the uncovering process too early in a person because some people can't handle that, you follow me? Maharaji metaphor was that it's like guru in a person is like removing a piece of fine muslin cloth from a thorny bush. If you pull it too much, it tears the thread up. You see? So it is with some people's ego. They are so spiritually weak. They can't take too much uncovering. Are you with me? So you have to work with them slowly. You know, those your 40 years devil disciples. You're going to have to wait 40 years before you can start, you know, accelerating the work that the guru comes in our life to do, which is the annihilation of that. You follow me? Now, if you're strong, they can get right on to work with you. You follow what I'm saying? And the literature is full of that kind of example of the strong type of disciple that comes, right? And the guru comes right away hitting them, just, you know, shut up, you know what I mean? Pick this shit up, you know what I mean? I ain't teaching you nothing, you understand? He comes right in slamming them, you see? He can get fierce with them, you see? You know when you are getting a little stronger, because then the guru can now get fierce with you.
Yes.
You see, because some of these gurus, you know, if you read the literature, they get fierce, but only with the right ones. You know what I mean? They can raise their voice, and then the person will not come. He shouted at me. He didn't agree with me. He wasn't on my side. Y'all know how y'all are. So I have to say, oh, beloved, I understand. Oh, that. Give me time. But some of you already know that, right? Right? And that was your shock, right? You came looking for consolation and I didn't give you none, and you got angry at me. I can handle your anger. The question is, can you handle mine? I deal with your anger. Your anger is nothing to deal with. The question is, can you deal with mine? You see? So the guru helps brings us to a point where he can really open up and use all of his skills and tools. You see? Now there was a brother of ours, I'm not going to call his name, who also suffered the same disease that I suffered, you know, entering into the relationship with Maharaji. And his concept of a friend was not the spiritual friend that is talked about in the literature. You know, when the Sufi mystics, when Rumi or Hafiz or Lala or any of those mystics are talking about the friend, they're talking about the friend from a strictly spiritual point of view, not this conventional concept of a friend. Not no damn buddy, not nobody you could slap on the back, chew pool with, rap to, and all of that. Well, this particular Satsangi brother of ours had this very conventional concept of a spiritual friend. And that's what he sought in his relationship with Maharaji. You see, everybody has a vava, right? Y'all know what that means, the feeling, right? And his vava, he thought it was Shakya, but it was Shakya based on the hood. You know what I mean? not in the tradition. And so he, you know, in his own development of a relationship with Maharaji, you know, this was the principle that guided him. And he, as he got his letters back and whatever he was doing to create and establish and cultivate that relationship, he was falling more and more in the impression that, man, Maharaji is the best friend, that's my buddy. I thought Wink, you know, my nickname was Wink. He said, I thought Wink was my best friend, but no, man, what a friend I got in charge, you know what I mean? I mean, his buddy, you see, kick it with him, you know, I could kick it with you guys, but man, I'm gonna go kick it with Maharaji. You understand what I'm saying? You know, he wanted to kick it with Maharaji. Well, we had another friend that had such a relationship with Maharaji, but it was a relationship that was there from the time they were children and so forth, you see. But he had that kind of relationship with Maharaji. Maharaji was a type of individual where whenever he made friends, those friends was for life. It was one of the most amazing things. His friends was friends for life. He became guru and all that, but they were friends for life, you know. In any case, this particular Satsangi wanted that relationship, that kind of relationship with Maharaji. Not so much as guru, but as buddy. You follow what I'm saying? He had a different Baba. Are you with me? And so this other friend that I was talking about that grew up with Maharaji, he was also a friend of ours. And, you know, so we had certain kinds of opportunities that some of our other brothers didn't have, as far as trying to get close to Maharaji. In any case, long story short, winds up, he goes to the Dera along with this friend. This friend hooks him up. You know what I mean? Takes him over to Maharaji's house, right? Maharaji's there, him and his real friend. For the last 50, 60 years of having tea, reminiscing about college days. I mean, having friends. In friendly conversation. And my friend, sitting in a little room with his little tea, thought, you know, yeah. So they decided, and Maharaji said, well, I'm going to go down to Sisera. You know, you haven't seen, his father, you haven't seen him in a long time. Let's go see Dad. Dad will be glad to see you. You know what I mean? I'm going to have the car come around. We're going to get in the car. We're going to go see Dad. You know, he'd be, man, he'd love to see you. Haven't seen you. You understand? And so my friend said, man, I'm finna go to the master house in Sisera in the farm. I'm finna meet the whole, you see. So he got up too. And so when the car came around to pull up, right? Maharaji and his real friend went out the door, got in the car, and then my friend was going right behind him, and they said, no. Not you. And they drove away. This friend of mine, in that moment, became so angry and hurt. He was genuinely hurt now, remember? And angry. He de-initiated himself. Basically. He said, I'm through with this shit. And went looking for him. Said, I'm gonna make me a guru that pleases me. And so he found him somebody and made that person into his guru. Made him a guru in his own image. This is a true story. I'm withholding names to preserve the identity, but this is what happened. Found him somebody, made that somebody, because he had a lot of money. He was very rich, really rich, this friend of mine. And so he found him one of those persons that he could give money to, $25,000, $50,000. Yeah, buy you rolls, I buy you this, buy you house, would be my guru. He paid for a customized guru. Cost of millions. He's broke today.
All right.
This is true.
Be sure.
Yeah, he's broke. Wind up going to prison. Because the guru he made didn't deal with his ego. You see? So for all of those of you who want to make your guru over, be careful. You may wind up in jail or worse, you see. But in answer to your question, beloved, what is that experience like? It's ego annihilating. You see? It deals with all of those forms of suffering. You know what I mean? Showing you how to deal with that anger so that you can be relieved of that suffering. Instructing you, this is how you deal with your suffering of lust. Follow those instructions and be relieved of that suffering of lust. This is how you deal with the suffering of greed. Follow these instructions and thus be relieved of the suffering of greed. Here's these instructions. Follow them and they will relieve you of the suffering of your attachment. And finally, here's these tools. Use them and liberate yourself and from the suffering of ego and pride and vanity. You see? All of that hurts. You know what I mean? None of the tools feel good. You follow me? But if you have trust, you see, It does no good to have a guru that you can't trust. It's just a waste of time. You're playing a game. Follow me? You might as well go straight back to the church and Reverend C.T. Chicken. You know what I'm saying? Because you can only play this game at that level. You follow what I'm saying? You can't play the game at a higher level. See, it's like a person that is not ready to get married. They just need to stay dating somebody. You follow what I'm saying? Stay out of that marriage thing. See, you ain't ready for the sacrifice, the ordeal that requires of you. You see? Hmm? All of it hurts. Every last bit of it. You see? No flattery. No congratulations. Always demanding more. Are you with me? I'm just again speaking out of my experience, you see? You get your little formal practice down. Now, okay, you gotta keep this thing going all day. Okay, you do this. Always more and more. Always asking for more practice. Never asking for less practice. Always more practice. More practice. Maharaji's signature was always, and do more practice, and do more practice, and do more practice, and do, I mean every letter, do more practice, do more. Constant demands, more, until it burns you up. You follow what I'm saying? Burns you up, you see. Now, every master is different, you follow me? You see. Every master had their own personality and all these other things, the body that they function through and so forth and so on. But what is common in all of those functional guru-disciple relationship, and I presume you're talking about what are the characteristics of a functional guru-disciple relationship. There's that trust. You see? There's that trust. You trust the master trusts you, that you're not going to waste this thing. You follow what I'm saying? You're not going to waste it. You can be trusted. You see, you can be trusted. It can give you this savor. It can give you this, because that's going to be done, right? You follow me? So, even though we may come to the guru as untrustworthy beings, you know what I mean? If we can stay in that relationship, and if the guru's grace is there, because sometimes the guru's grace is not there. Sometimes when the guru finds that you are untrustworthy, guru stop messing with you. I mean, that's just a fact. All that is cut off, done. You see my point? Done. You see? That's just the reality, you know? So it's not like the guru just gonna put up with your shit forever. That's not true. It's flat out not true. You see? He would adapt to it. You see? So you won't get any kind of real, how do I put it, direct instruction. You'll be told, go read a book. Go read a book. You see? Go ask so-and-so, so-and-so. You'll be redirected in your search for his help to lesser circumstances, because you don't do nothing with his direct help. What do you do with it? Nothing. So why give it? Go read a book. You follow me? And that's how that goes. That's how that goes. Don't write me no more letters. Don't ask me no more questions. Do your practice. Do your practice. Don't ask me shit. Do your practice. Do your practice. Do your practice. Do your practice. That's wonderful. That means that, you know, something is going on. One last thing, and I'm not going to talk about this too much because, you know, it's not going to help you very much, because you have to do what you got to do with your guru. I have to do what I have to do with my guru. You see my point? The two may have some similarities, but, you know, there's some things bound to be very unique to who I am and who you are, you see. But I do recall when I came to Maharaj, you know, I was really looking for a guru, and I was capable of being guru. Are you with me? For real. You see, I was young, perhaps, maybe chalk it up to young and foolish. You see my point? I wasn't all scarred up. I wasn't all wounded. I wasn't full of all that bitterness and cynicism and, you know what I mean? Soured on humanity. I didn't have any of that baggage, you see? And I always had, even as a kid, this ability to appreciate the help of a teacher. This very guy that I was just describing to you, I mean, we've been friends since I was 12, 13. He was older than me. And that was my first teacher / guru that I went to. And he taught me language, you see. He taught me oratory. He taught me speech. He helped build a vocabulary. I mean, my God, I was 16. I had a 50,000 word vocabulary, you see. Very pedantic, you know. Now that's why I try so hard to talk colloquial. You know what I mean? Profane. Otherwise, I'll spin off. You know what I mean? And you won't understand a word I'm saying, you see. But that was something that I wanted, that skill set. And so he would teach me, and I would go there, he would get out of school, and I'd sit there, and he said, Wink, read this, read this. Wink, go learn these 30 words. Go learn these 30 words. Write me a sentence, go write a sentence. Give me the etymology, give me the etymology, you see. Go deliver my paper. I go deliver his papers while he do his homework, so that when I get through, he'll have time for me. He won't have to take that time and go deliver his newspaper. Sure, I go deliver his newspaper. I collect his money, bring it back. Now teach me, you see. So even as a young person, I had a need for a teacher. See, sometimes you don't need a guru. You don't need a teacher, especially if you got pride, because you figure you know every damn thing. So certainly you don't need it. Well, clearly I needed a guru. I needed a teacher. You know, it was shit I didn't know, things I couldn't do, and I understood. You see my point? So by the time I entered into a relationship with Maharaji, I understood, you know? I understood, you see? So I recognized I needed a guru, you see? And now I'm from the hood, right? I ain't scared of bullets, you know what I mean? I ain't scared of bad drugs. I don't care if the drug may kill me. I'm smoking this. I had none of those fears, right? Yeah. So this, this was great for me. I was not afraid to follow the guru. Shit, I ain't had nothing. So I was very much in touch with what I got through. I don't have nothing, really. You see, I didn't have no wife, didn't have no kids, right? Didn't have no money, had no job, nothing. I ain't had nothing to lose. What I got to lose? You follow me? So I was not afraid to be guru, and I wanted to be guru. I recognized that I needed a guru, and I was glad that I got a guru. You follow me? That was a happy occasion for me. You see, that was like winning the lottery, like buying your first house or a car or something. I mean, man, to have a guru, you see my point? That was great, you know what I mean? Now all I gotta do is listen and follow and obey. So there may be that difference in us. You see, you may feel no need for no guru, or you may be too scared to make use of a guru, and you may be so incapable of denying yourself stuff. I can deny myself stuff, you see. Go drop this reefer, okay, done. What next? Next, you understand? We're no long ordeal here, you see. Drop this, okay, what's next? You know, stop all this running around. Joyce, will you marry me? That was 44 years ago, you understand? You ain't said nothing. Next. Don't fall asleep. No problem. You understand? Y'all, you can't stop falling asleep. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
No problem. You know? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Hmm? You gotta want to be guru in order to be guru. And if you don't want to be guru, you can have Jesus Christ himself can't help you. What do you think? Jesus would have been a piece of cake with you? What do you think? What kind of fantasy bullshit have you made up about Jesus? You follow me? That wasn't one of these nice little gratify your ego type personality. That's fire. Jesus was fire, burn you up. You understand what I'm saying? Buddha, you could have never hanged with Buddha. Never in your life. You all sent out your little clips from the Buddha. Ooh, the Buddha said this is beautiful. Ooh, man, I wish that I was alive doing it. You would have never been able to hang with a Buddha. Buddha had 255 rules that must be followed by that bhikkhu, down to how much food you eat, who you play, who you get. You couldn't do no following of no Buddha. You see? Muhammad, you too scared to have followed Muhammad. You need balls to have followed the prophet, peace be upon him. You understand what I'm saying? You ain't got them kind of balls. Are you with me? You couldn't have followed no Kabir. You see? How you gonna hang with a Kabir? You see? You couldn't have been Sikh. You couldn't have followed Nanak. You know, Teg Bahadur. You see? A real follower and successor in the line of Nanak. You see? Follow Nanak to the point where the ruling parties in Punjab beheaded him. You can't do that. You can't do that. Are you with me? You can't do that. You can't even do your meditation 7 days in a row on time, full time. You can't even do that shit. Now, what are you talking about here? Do you really want to guru? Can you be guru in the first place? So that is. Can you respond to love? Rightly. That's what you gotta do. Right? Now I know y'all ready for me to stop now. I know y'all so glad time is up. We're about to have satsang up here. See, it's not pleasant. See, in the intimacy of the Guru-disciple relationship, there is no congratulation going on here. There's no slapping you on your back saying, what a nice person. That shit is not going on here. It's wrong. You need to get this straight in yourself. You need to get this shit straight in yourself. You need to get this shit straight in yourself. It is this constant criticism. Hammer, straighten that shit out. You need to be more this, more this, more this. And your little fragile ego, you can't handle that because you thought this was a party being thrown for you. The Guru is the one that brings you the most gifts to celebrate you. Ain't nobody here to celebrate you. You follow what I'm saying? This ain't how this thing goes, right? And yes, you will get angry. Right. You're supposed to get angry. That's what the ego does. You better just learn how to handle that shit. You follow what I'm saying? And be liberated from it. Very different. Very different, you see? So there are different kinds of gurus, you know, so Maharaj would just, it was just something about Maharaj, you know, not to even approach him with no nonsense, you know, so he didn't even have to raise his voice. You know, some people got that kind of presence. So, Elijah, you remember going and Maharaj standing there in the cafeteria? People, they spread all the way from Maharaj just standing there. Like, you know, nobody within 100 feet. You know what I mean? They almost like everybody understood. Don't bring no bullshit here. You know, don't bring me no bullshit. He had a very different style, very elegant, very serious, but not in an intimidating way. But you simply understood, you know, this it's not permitted. Like a king almost, in some sense. Very, 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 very different. You follow what I'm saying? Very different. You see? Even his father was like that. Can you imagine? You see? Even his father was like that with him. You see? That's a very rare kind of quality, you see. So, Bhagwan, all of these things have been offered to you all for consideration within the context of your Kulu groups, right? You're in the Goddess Kulu group? And I know in the Superman group, you all consider that, right? This whole thing about the tradition of the Guru-disciple relationship, there's all kinds of excerpts drawn from across all of the various spiritual traditions to make that argument, you see. So it's there for you to read, to consider, to reflect on, and then see what you want to do, you see. But even when you get past your doubt in the Guru and all that, now you got to get past your doubt in yourself. Self-doubt then becomes the next obstacle. You could have a fairly functional relationship with the Guru, but you're full of self-doubt. So you're still not doing what the Guru wants you to do. But not because you don't trust and all of that, but you got too much self-doubt to follow the instructions. You say, oh, I can't do this because of this, because of that, because of this, because of that. You're so full of self-doubt, you see. And that becomes your pitfall. That becomes your obstacle. So the Guru has to work on that, you know, take our self-doubt from us, you see. If that doesn't occur, then we fall into self-pity. So self-doubt and self-pity. Now you just in self-doubt, and then you in this state of perpetual self-pity, always feeling sorry for yourself. Always feeling that you have been wronged. And in that state of self-pity and self-doubt, no sadhana can be done. You have far too much sympathy for your ego. Far too much sympathy. How are you going to defeat something that you're full of all this sympathy? You're too attached to you to transcend you. I think you rascals have enough for today. Now, you have iPods, you giving them out? Okay, everybody's got it.
Words like love and sweet love forever. Girl, that you are